So this is the caption. So this is their supplement. This is their motion to strike the defendant's out of time supplemental memorandum. Now, really, I don't need to read this part to you. Essentially, there are deadlines, right? If you're at one point, the judge is going to say you have X amount of time to give me all your paperwork. Then essentially that time runs out, right? If you don't submit your paperwork before then you're not going to submit anything, right? Because the court doesn't have to wait for you to do whatever you want to do. So it just happens. So if you miss that deadline, then the court generally doesn't want to hear anything you have to say after that. And there were obviously exceptions to that rule. So here, that's essentially what happened, and that's what they're going to that's what this motion is really to point at. Now, and it could have been a lot quicker, right? This motion could just be, hey, listen, here's how much time you had. Here are the rules. Blah blah blah. You violated the rules in this way, and it should go. But they went the extra mile within this response. And in this response, they wanted to make sure it was clear why this whole juror issue was BS and throw a lot of shade at the other side. So, just to be clear, as a technical matter, even if we look at this is for being untimely, right? So this could be really a one paragraph motion, right? Here's when they submitted it. Here's what's the deadline. It's at X amount of days after the deadline. Here's a court order saying what the deadline is. Done, right? There's really not too much you really need to add into this, right? Because again, this is a plaintiff's motion to strike defendants out of time. You ran out of time. Supplemental memorandum in support of her post-trial motion. So, but sometimes it's good to take these opportunities to throw real shade at the other side's argument and let them know, let the court know this is the BS that we got to deal with in a real succinct way. Because don't forget, you can't add too much fluff to this either. So this is really 3 pages. And what I like about this is going to really show you how when lawyers need to say stuff in a very short amount of time, they can do it, right? You get paid by the page, unfortunately, sometimes by law. But here, you're not getting paid for the page. So look how easy the arguments are. If you look, and these same arguments are in the other brief, but they're taking up pages and pages and pages of time. Here, we got maybe 1 or 2 paragraphs, and you got to get the point across. So let's see how they break it down. 3 pages. And then I'm going to ask you guys afterwards, what do you think about the juror issue? Do you think it's a nothing issue? Let me get the super chat. I'm sorry I waited so long. Isn't defamation always intentional by definition? No, you can have. There's different standards. So actual malice is a standard when you're talking about public figures. But then for people who are not public figures, it's negligence. So you could accidentally defame someone, right? Somebody may have the same. Maybe you see a name on something, and you believe that it's that person, but it happens to be someone else or something like that. There are ways that you can do it by accident, and then you could be found liable. But that's, again, public figures don't get that. That's only for people who are not public figures. That's why it's extremely hard for public figures to win defamation suits. All right, so let's start this out. It says pursuant to court's direction. So again, like I told you guys, this motion should be nothing but a page long, right? It's a nothing motion because it's really just saying you ran out of time. So here it is, right? Pursuant to the court's direction, Ms. Heard's deadline for submitting her post-trial motion fell on July 1st, 2022, right? 1 full month after the jury rendered its verdicts. Okay, that didn't really need to be there, but it's there. It is undisputed that Ms. Heard did not file her supplemental memorandum until the afternoon of July 8th, 2022, 1 week late. So, and only fewer than 3 days before plaintiff's Depp's deadline for submitting his opposition to defendant's post-trial motion, due on Monday, July 11th, but no later than 10 a.m. Now, so here it is. True to form, defendant neither notified the plaintiff of her forthcoming supplemental memorandum, nor sought leave of the court for filing it. 1 full week out of time. Because Ms. Heard filed late and without leave of the court should grant plaintiff's motion to strike, right? That's all the law you need to know. This is how we've been harmed. Here it is, just we want it to be granted. Boom, done. Here's some other reasoning that we can also add to it to just help you understand why we think this is so bad. And again, we're going to try to figure out what this has to do with this motion being timely. So remember, this motion is about it being untimely. So now we're throwing in this section 2. So what does this section 2 say? It says Ms. Heard had access to the purported new facts a month ago. So I think they're trying to put it in here saying, well, we've had these problems with things that are timely before. And here's another issue. In her supplemental memorandum, Ms. Heard does not, because she cannot, make any proffer as to why she could not have discovered these new facts until now. This is because the clerk's office provided the pre-panel jury list to the parties back on April 6, 2022, more than 2 months ago, and 5 days before the jury was impaneled. Now, remember when we were talked about this in that earlier episode of this, when we saw that Virginia law said you got to have the name, occupation, address, and birthday of the juror 3 days before the juror was impaneled. They're saying you got it, and she's saying they got it in 5. But we go on. In a rare moment of candor, Miss Heard admits that she was aware of the purported discrepancy in Juror's 15th birth year from the very start of trial, because Juror 15, and they quote Elaine, because Juror 15 was clearly born later than 1945. Motion at page 40. Miss Heard therefore concedes she had more than enough time before the trial started and during the 6-week trial, when when at least 2 alternatives were available, to investigate and discovered these alleged new facts. Clearly, Ms. Heard waived any right to allege new facts. She chose not to investigate for so long, much less to demand the extraordinary remedy of a mistrial. Cut right to the point. Chop, chop, chop. Throw your bombs. You read it, right? Boom, boom. And this, they did it on the other one. It took them like 2 pages to do this. Here, right there. Boom, 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 boom. I don't even have to read the stuff from the other stuff, right? You know exactly, right? It's all game over. Game over. You did admit you knew. You said it was so obvious. No one would respect that guy for a 77-year-old man. No one. Not even us. What does that have to do with the motion to strike? Because it's untimely. That has nothing to do with this motion. That's just the slaughter. We can slaughter them in one. Let's just take it. Let's just take a shot. Boom. Boom. And I'm telling you, people, I think it's only, what did it say? It's a paragraph. They destroyed that whole argument in a paragraph. And usually lawyers are very wordy. And then they end it. Miss Heard cites no unfair prejudice. Even if Miss Heard had filed her supplemental memorandum in a timely manner, which she did not, just to make sure you understand that. And even had she not waived her right to raise these alleged issues by sitting on the information for more than 2 months, which she did, the court should still grant plaintiff's motion to strike defendant's supplemental memorandum, because Ms. Heard failed to cite, and I put cite any unfair prejudice. Even assuming arguendo that Ms. Heard's latest thesis, that the son served instead of his father, there would be no prejudice, as Juror 15 was qualified to serve as a juror, because he did live in the area and was above age. So he was qualified. Fairfax County and was vetted by the court, the parties, counsel, just as all of the other jurors were. Defendant seems to have abandoned her prior baseless assertion, made both by Ms. Heard and her counsel on national television, that the jurors violated their oaths by watching social media during the trial.
Control. And I think the social media, it was like a Roman Colosseum. It is the best way to describe the atmosphere here. And I have to believe that the jury, even though they're told not to go and look at anything, they have weekends, they have families, they have social media.
They were not sequestered. They were not sequestered.
And the 10-day period we had, how could they not have been influenced?
With clips spreading across social media like wildfire.
I think vast majority of this trial was played out on social media. I think that this trial is an example of that gone haywire, gone amok. And the jury is not immune to that.
You think the jury saw it?
How could they not? I think even the most well-intentioned juror, it would have been impossible to avoid this.
Which in turn influenced their verdicts. Disgraceful that Ms. Heard made such scandalous allegations, and disappointing that no apology and recantation has followed. Now, that's the reason why you throw that in there is because they filed their motion. And their motion, they were going around TV saying that the jurors did all they know they was violating their oath. And now you've submitted the motion. Now you've submitted the motion. And that's not in it. Apologies. This, I'm telling you, somebody, it's like, you know what they said, Joe, I'll give you $25,000 if you could take this part of the motion, these 4 pages, and give me 2 paragraphs, 2 of the best paragraphs of your life. And I'll even give you a footnote. And this is what they came up with. And this is what they came. This is why Johnny's paying them so much. This is why he's paying them so much. Yeah, I think the juror thing is dead. I think based on this, I think the juror thing is dead. Oh, man. Let me get the super chat that came in. Oof. Makes sense they would add substance because then she can't claim they win on a technicality. Agreed. But I don't know. I just love to see when, okay, we're gonna use what we have, right? We don't have a lot of time. We want to throw a lot of shade, and we got a lot of ammunition. But the problem is that we can't do it in 4 or 5 pages, right? This has got to be done quick, right? This is a motion to strike based on it being out of time. How the hell am I going to get all that up in there? How are we going to get all that up in there where the judge is saying this is all irrelevant stuff you're throwing out, right? You got to throw. How you want to throw it aside there? But you got things. You got maybe 2 paragraphs because that's the only thing is you got a footnote and you got some shade. And that's what they did. They said we're going to make sure we condense as much as possible and seek and destroy. And that's exactly what they did. She even threw out the whole thing about them saying the jurors were corrupt. Boom. Hopes the judge reads the footnote. So, with that said, what do you guys think? So that's the happenings with the Amber Heard saga as it stands today.